Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this episode of the Dan Dawson Show, where the magic happens. I have my producer, Zoe. She's currently under her desk. She just does what she does. But let's take a look at some stuff. So this is U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, and she's going to talk on voting. Now, I don't know how you feel, but I know I feel like this, right? If you're not a U.S. citizen, if you don't have skin in the game, you should not be allowed to vote in our elections. It just is what it is. Let's watch this video.
Early for that, we have a Tennessee colleague whose portrait is being unveiled over on the House side, and I need to make some remarks. Judge Thomas, returning to Senator Hawley's question, I think that it should not be lost on you how unsettled the Tennesseans that I represent are by your nomination because of what you have said about the transgender rights and the assault that happened in Loudoun County, but there's also been others. And these are things that have been reported. So people want to know.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, understand what's going on here now is she's pressing them to the point. The point being the Loudoun County assault, where a 14-year-old girl was raped in the bathroom by a transgender boy. He was wearing a dress. And she's pointing out to you that there are many others across the country. See, because this is their agenda. Their agenda. They don't care about what happens to your kids. They don't care about what happens to women on trains. How many of you saw the Philadelphia train attack on CNN? Nobody. I have not even seen it in YouTube clips. You know why? Because they really don't care. All they care about is their agenda. Let's continue on. Also, something new on the Dan Dawson Show. Today is Friday, right, honey? Yeah, okay. So today is Friday. What we're going to do on Fridays is the old lady will come in and pick a video at random. This video is completely at random. I've never seen it before. I have no idea what's going on, but I will comment on it as it's unfolding. And that's what we're going to do on Fridays. So let's get to it.
That their children are going to be safe. And they want to make certain that you are not going to be an activist judge. So I want you to talk to me for just a minute about your judicial philosophy and about activism on the bench. And
so before we get into activism on the bench, let me explain something to you. Activist judges are the worst judges. It was an activist judge that four times turned loose a serial rapist, an assaulter, a drug addict, turned him loose, didn't deport him, wouldn't even put him in jail. The poor lady in Philadelphia on the train. It's these same activist judges, these same activists. Activists become such a dirty word, don't you think? That want to take away your Second Amendment rights. And when I say your Second Amendment rights, hey, if you're a 6 foot, 240-pound Black man in the state of Texas, if you want to take me on, I'm probably going to beat you to death with my hands. Here's the problem. Here's the problem. When your wives and your daughters and your nieces go out and they're not 6 foot, they're not 240 pounds, they're not combat veterans, they're not amateur bodybuilders, they're not amateur fighters, then they have to deal with that. They're not taking away your Second Amendment rights. Well, actually, they are. They're taking away the rights of your nieces, of your daughters, and of your wives and your mothers to be able to protect themselves, and they could hardly give a damn. Let's continue to see what this video is about.
and how you will set that aside. Just 20 or 30 seconds on that.
Thank you, Senator Blackburn.
Okay, so like I said, I've never seen this video. Tammy came in and picked it out. but looking at the Honorable Holly A. Thomas, I can already guess. Guess what? She's a SJW. She's an alphabet people. I don't even have to guess at it. It's so obvious now. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. So let's continue on as this video unfurls. I'm sorry, people. It's the first time we've ever done this, but it's going to be an every Friday thing, and it's going to be my Friday videos. So let's go.
The oath that you take when you become a judge, the promise that you make to the litigants who come before you is that your personal views have no role in your decisions. I have been a judge.
So you're not going to focus on outcome-based law?
Absolutely not. What drives your decisions is the text and the law and precedent.
Okay. Let me ask you about voting rights, because I had a Tennessean call me early this morning, and they are very upset about what they hear about federalizing of election and doing away with voter ID and stripping states of responsibility, because states do have a constitutional authority, and thereby they also have the responsibility to administer their elections in a way that is going to promote security, is going to promote election integrity. Citizens expect them to do that. And you have taken the position that a state does not have the right to reject an application for voter registration for failure to show proof of US citizenship, to prove who they are. And this Tennessean this morning was talking to me about how they have to prove who they are when they pick up a prescription, when they go to rent a car, when they get on a plane, sometimes even when they're trying to get to the...
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about voter fraud. So, as watchers of the Dan Dawson Show know, I've been back here in the amazing Republic of Texas for a couple of months now. Guess what I received just, what was it, Tammy, day before yesterday?
Yes.
Say again?
Yes.
So everybody knows I'm telling the truth. A voter pamphlet for Washington State. Now, you may be thinking, well, they didn't know Dan moved. The only problem was Dan is now once again a citizen of Texas. God bless Texas. The voter pamphlet had my current address. My current address as being in Texas. Oh yeah, I thought I was gonna give him my address. But if I decide to give him my address, guess what? You can, if you don't like me and you have some issue, you can come and get some. This is Texas. So talking about voter fraud, I could right now honestly vote in the Washington State election. Just mail it back in and have no trouble with it. Voter fraud happens all the time. That's the problem with mail-in ballots that people aren't getting. Let's continue on. Hold on. Before we continue on, Tammy, what made you pick out this story? This is really a weird video. It's not weird, but it's like something you wouldn't normally pick out.
It was interesting.
Explain.
I just thought it was interesting.
Okay. That's why Zoe's my producer.
The In-N-Out burger to eat inside. They have to prove who they are. So let me ask you this. We feel like it's an essential part of the duty to establishing qualifications of voters, that they be a citizen, that we know who they are. So why shouldn't states be permitted to require proof of US citizenship in order for someone to vote in an election?
Now, just to pause there, remember, me and Tammy just went down and got our Texas driver's licenses. How'd that go, Tammy?
Very long process.
You need birth certificates, all kind of stuff.
It's basically 2 root canals in one day.
They want to make sure you're a citizen. We're on the border, honey. That's what happens in Texas. But welcome to Texas. I know you're not from Texas, but Texas wants you anyway, to quote a Lyle Lovett song.
Thank you for that question, Senator Blackburn. So in Crawford versus Marion County, the Supreme Court upheld a law requiring voter identification. So that would certainly be applicable precedent in any case on that issue that came before me. The court has also held, however, that Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and that was what was at issue in the case that you mentioned that I litigated on behalf of the United States, requires a totality of the circumstances analysis. So in Brnovich, the court held that you have to look, among other factors, at the size of disparity, the strength.
Tammy's telling me to wind it up, but since this is our first time doing this, she has to understand that. You picked out a 5-minute video. We got to play the whole video, right, honey?
Okay.
All righty.
Of the state's
So
interest.
what you're telling me is you do not believe someone has to be a US citizen in order to vote?
Ooh, psh, she just hit her. So if you're not a US citizen, so what happens? They were talking about the Trump-Russia collusion. What would happen if Vladimir Putin flew over 10 million Russians to vote in the US election? See, this is the part the liberals never get. It's the tit for tat. Whatever you do, I can do better. I mean, it was an old school saying. I mean, come on. Really?
Thank you for that question, Senator Blackburn. That's not at all what I'm telling you. What I'm telling you is that,
But it's what she just said.
in a case that comes before me regarding voter ID or any other sort of regulation regarding voting, that I'll apply the Supreme Court's precedents in that area without any hesitation or any reservation whatsoever.
Okay, I've got a couple of
You can tell by her eyes she's lying. Let's continue on.
other questions pertaining to your work as an advocate and some of the issues that you've taken on voting rights and race-based college admissions. And I'm going to submit those to you for writing, as well as a question that comes from your work as a registered lobbyist. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I thank Senator Lee.
So what the good senator just did there is she hit her with the registered lobbyist comment. Like, you're a registered lobbyist. Meaning, yeah, you're not going to be confirmed. She just called her out. So I would like to thank all of you. We're trying new stuff here, right? So this one, what we're doing, and Tammy can attest, right? Tammy, was I in here when you picked out this video?
Yes. Oh, well, you know you were outside.
So what we're doing on Fridays is Tammy will pick out a video, a YouTube video, right? And I'll come in, never having seen the video before, and I'll sit down and I'll give you my honest opinion as the video is unfolding. And that's what we're going to start doing on Fridays. I think on the weekends, I'm going to give you heartfelt stories, good stories, you know, cops rescuing kittens out of trees and stuff like that. For October, I'm going to continue telling you ghost stories. Actually don't have that many ghost stories. I do have another one that's really, really good. You're going to love it. And it's one that happened to me when I was a little kid. So, but tell me what you think about us doing it like this on Fridays, where Tammy comes in, she picks out a story on my laptop. She calls me when she has the story she wants. I come in, I sit down, watch the video, and I'll react on it. Thank you. Love you. Like, subscribe, and share. And as always, do what you got to do.